Hello traders, welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 264. First of all, congratulations to the US for a brand new president who is infamous for making the market volatile, and really hopefully he's also going to make the US economy better. We're going to get some clear markets, some trending markets, and of course hope it will be for the best. So we pretty much have right now, I would say, a whole month ahead of us. We have NFP out of the way, we have the Fed rate out of the way, we have the elections kind of out of the way, but of course a lot more development is about to be happening right now. So let's of course jump right into the market, see how they look like, see what we can expect, and of course perform our analysis as usual. Of course, starting with the economic calendar. So on Monday we're having a bank holiday, US bank holiday, European bank holiday as well. Well, just says French. So pretty much Monday I am 90% of the times not trading on Monday, and when it's a bank holiday I am definitely not gonna trade. Then on Tuesday we don't have something very important, but of course Tuesday is going to be tradable. Just keep in mind that when Monday is very slow and a bank holiday, Tuesday kind of acts a little bit like Monday. Then on Wednesday, we're having CPI. So this is pretty much, we have NFP out of the way, we have the Fed rate out of the way, and right now CPI is the next kind of very major news release that we have to be waiting for. There it is on Wednesday, so I'm going to be trading after that news release. And then on Thursday, we have a lot of Aussie news here. We're having the PPI and unemployment claims for the US. And then we're having also Powell speaking a little bit later, Lagarde. So I don't care too much about these because they're pretty late. But Thursday, after the CPI, it is absolutely going to be a trading day. And also Friday, we have retail sales here. We have GDP for the pound. We have a lot of USD news here as well. So it looks pretty good. So pretty much, I'm going to be mainly observing Tuesday, maybe. On Wednesday, I'm absolutely going to wait for the CPI. And then Thursday and Friday are going to be my two main focus days. So this is how I'm pretty much framing my week. So with that being said, let's jump into the market and see how it looks like so far. Before we get into the technicals, make sure to join our free Trading Fanatics community. We have so much value inside, so many tips, such a great community, but also not to say the classroom that is full with an incredible, comprehensive, and a full trading course. Make sure to check it out, the first link in the description. All right, let's get started with the dollar. So far this month, we have been printing a bullish candle. Overall bullish. Now it is an overall consolidation. If you just zoom out a little bit, like again, since pretty much 2023, we have been in a massive consolidation here on the dollar. So will the election of Trump right now bring in some volatility? As we have overall seen, when he was actually on the throne, if I can say that, we had a lot more volatility. So let's see if that is going to be brought back. Now, when it comes to the current bullishness, you can of course start forecasting levels like that, but that is a little bit too further away. So then of course, if we start dropping into the weekly time frame, if you remember, since the last weekly outlook and setups, we outlined this weekly, let's just get this one fixed, this weekly bullish imbalance, and you can see the market perfectly pinked into it just before the elections, and then pretty much that zone was potentially responsible for the bullish move. Of course, I'm a very big believer. It could be false, it could be true. I don't really care. This is what I have seen work for me, is that I always first listen to price and then I check out the news, because oftentimes pretty much the price is going to tell you what is going to happen even before the news are out, because the news, probably the people who control the markets, the people with the biggest liquidity, with the most money, they are the inside, they know what is going to happen. So they're already starting to position pretty much their positions before the biggest news releases, right? So for example, you can see we had that sell-off, but then even before the elections, we started getting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullish weeks. And then pretty much the election week pretty much pulled back into that weekly zone and gave us a very nice long. So currently we're reacting from that weekly bearish imbalance to the left. That could give the market a little bit of a reaction. And in terms of the current price action, so this week I took a full skip, especially for Forex. I was also observing indices. I really should have traded indices because we had some incredible volatility. But I did not, just sticking to the plan, letting the dust settle and then potentially to strike. Now, currently, we're also having that daily bullish imbalance. The market is running away from it currently. So this to me will also be a very nice target, targeting this high. And then as I start dropping onto the hourly time frame, we have to really see what is going to hold. Now, I am bullish bias. We came into that weekly zone. We already took out the reaction out of this. And what we're currently getting as well is the very recent momentum right now. The very recent order flow is potentially bullish for me. You can see we're having two hourly bullish imbalances right here. And even if you look at structure currently, that is a very massive range. The market pulled back below the 50%. And to me, this is going to be the target. Now, the very key question is, where are we going to go long from? Well, to me, two scenarios. Hourly zone taps, goes into the highs. If the hourly zone fails, potentially, and starts giving us bearishness, then I will be targeting that daily zone. And then from that daily zone, I will potentially like to see a shift to bullish, if of course that is going to happen. So this is my outlook for the DXY. I am definitely more on the long side. I don't see anything bearish. And I really do like these Friday bullish imbalances, giving us like a little bit of a hint that, hey, maybe I don't want to be pulling back to that daily. I already want to go and target the liquidity. Okay, so that is my thought process on the DXY. Let me know if you agree. I'm looking for longs. Let's see how the other pairs are looking like according to that DXY bias. Let's check out EURUSD. Also a very nice bearish month so far, heading straight for that monthly liquidity. Dropping onto the weekly time frame as well, a very nice massive weekly bearish candle. Also, we're coming from that weekly bearish imbalance. Now, there is a more recent target that we can be looking for, so that is a monthly low, and here that is a weekly low. Both of those could potentially later on become liquidity. Now, we don't really have anything new on the weekly time frame, so we can straight make our way to the daily, which is already looking very similar to the DXY. We are, of course, having that daily break of structure. We're having that massive impulse. That was the elections. We're having that daily bearish imbalance created as well. But we can already see on Friday, it kind of shows us that it potentially wants to go down. And we have too many targets on EU. We have that daily low, we have the weekly low, and then we have the monthly low, which I think all of these are some amazing targets. And then, of course, you drop to the hourly time frame, and we just wrapped up the week with that beautiful hourly bearish imbalance telling us, hey, maybe I want to go short. So a very simple analysis once again on EU. It really looks like a very good trade for Monday. And I've seen a lot of times on bank holidays, the market makes the biggest move of the week. So do you want to trade on Monday? Do you not want to trade? This is up to you. Personally, I am not. But of course, if it was a normal trading day, let's say that right now it's Tuesday and we're looking to start trading, this is definitely something that I will be looking for. And of course, the other situation will be if we actually start showing signs that this hourly zone is going to fail and starts giving us some bullish signs, then of course, price is then going to tell you, hey, I then want to go potentially to that daily zone to maybe look to short from there. So that is my EU bias. It's definitely bearish, perfectly aligning with the DXY. That is the setup that I'm looking for. And of course, if we make that on Monday, then what I will be looking for is for sustained pressure. So are we going to close below these lows? Are we going to make new bearish imbalances? Are we going to be making new structure going lower? And then, of course, start targeting these deeper targets. Or are we just going to, for example, sweep and then start printing bullishness and then maybe pull back into the daily? Like, my trading plan is all about reacting. I know what I'm looking for. I'm going to capitalize on that. And then I just detach, wait for price to show me what it wants to do. I always have my levels. I always have two scenarios and I just follow what happens. But currently, that looks very good. Let's see how it plays out. Strangely, GU has been very choppy. You can see this month we haven't moved at all. Dropping onto the weekly time frame, it has been choppy right now for almost, pretty much 5 weeks. I wouldn't really say that these 4 bearish week here is something volatile. Like compared to these here, pushes, compared to past drops, very choppy. And this week, incredibly choppy as well. Taking out the previous weekly high, taking out the previous weekly low, and closing as a perfect indecision. Nothing on the daily, no daily imbalances whatsoever. The last one that we made here was on the 17th of October. We're already, 10th of November today, and we haven't made anything on the daily. So this immediately tells me, hey, GU is not a pair that I would like to focus on right now. Because then you drop to the forward time frame and you're starting to get like massive consolidation like that. Takes out, takes up, nothing, right? Even if I just zoom in onto the 4-hourly time frame right now, we had this bearish push, and right now the market makes a very big pullback, and like it had bearishness, then it had here bullishness that was respected, and all of a sudden right now it's failing the bullishness, it's starting to show a little bit of bearishness. No, this is just not clear. This is just not clear. Swept the high, swept the low, back into the range. GU guys, in all honesty, I am not gonna touch it going into the next week. Like, so far we've just covered EU, and EU is looking 10 times better than GU, so GU is off of my list. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know maybe why is it chopping out like that, but I'm not interested in trading GU when it's looking like this. Let's check out Aussie dollar, which also seems to be similar to GU, not making a very nice move during the elections. Now, this one is having that very nice weekly bearish imbalance, and we had a very strange gap up this week. We tapped into that weekly, and we kind of had a volatile week, but directionless, right? We saw EU, for example, making a very nice bearish weekly candle. This one is very strange. So it actually tapped into the weekly, it pushed to take out that weekly low, then it had this massive Thursday candle, and then it has this massive Friday candle. Very indecisive. Now, I would say I am more bearish than bullish. And then we drop to the 4-hourly time frame, which is also very tricky. Like, it was extremely choppy here coming into the elections. Then we have that massive push down, then a massive push up, and then a massive push down once again. So everybody has been shaken out of the market. At the bottom here, sellers entered. At the top here, buyers entered. Sellers got stop loss, buyers got entered. And right now we're coming back into the range, suffocating potentially also people who are looking to go long like this, right? On a break of structure. Starting for people to right now focus on market structure, to be looking for longs. But what I currently see is that it's a little bit better than GU, because GU did not really have any foul imbalances. Aussie dollar does. It has nothing to really stop it to the left anymore. If I'm to pick a target a little bit on the long term, it's going to be that daily low. So let's see how potentially we're going to start respecting these foul zones, whether of course we're going to respect them, and whether we're going to pretty much start going lower. So that will be my bias on Aussie dollar, just based on that very recent foul momentum. But I would say it goes more closely to a consolidation rather than a trending market right now. We had a very big whipsaw here. So literally what I'm trying to do right here is forecast the manipulation. Well, I mean, not forecast, but say, hey, that is a fake break. We had an in, and we're immediately coming back down right now, suffocating all the people that are having right now a long bias. So immediately I will target that low. So that is kind of my thought process on this one right now. It is showing us that very recent bearish intention. So if it continues, if you, for example, have a pullback and maybe a new 4-hourly breakout structure with a new imbalance, then I will be very interested to potentially take a trade from here. Okay? But if you're feeling adventurous, you can already start looking for the short. So that is my bias on Aussie dollar. Definitely shorts, also pairing that with the overall bullish sentiment that I have on the XY. Let's see how it goes. NZUSD, very similar as well. Now this one is once again in a macro consolidation. We took out that high, and right now we're maybe headed for that low. So far, the monthly candle, you can see not moving as much as we would love for it to move, dropping onto the weekly time frame. Similarly to the Aussie dollar, we're having that beautiful weekly bearish imbalance, and overall this one was a lot more bearish than the Aussie. So definitely once again having a little bit more of a bearish bias. But what we should also be aware is that we first tapped this weekly and we took out the weekly target. So right now this imbalance is kind of no longer existing because it did its job. Okay. And I know a lot of people are using imbalances, like even, for example, an imbalance like this, you're going to say, hey, it broke down and it's right now using it as resistance. That to me is false, right? But of course, it's all about beliefs and all about trading plans. So to me right now, this is not really useful anymore because there it is. It got tapped. It fulfilled its target. So right now we're coming back into it, but it's not really coming back into that weekly anymore. It's just coming back to take up liquidity, for example, above that high. And right now, similar to the Aussie dollar, it is starting to give us some bearish imbalances here to potentially maybe tell us, hey, I potentially want to go down. Now, the very key question is that going to sustain? There is potentially that first target that I'm going to pick. There we have also another low that I'm going to pick. On the daily time frame, there is nothing much to extract apart from the fact that there was a massive Thursday and then Friday is an inside bar right now. I'm not loving it. This is definitely not a pair that I would be looking to really focus on and take a trade on, because it's again an overall consolidation, swept up, swept down, swept up, and right now back down. So kind of very 50-50. But if I'm to pick a side, that will be the setup that I'm going to be looking for. So let's see how it plays out. I'm overall short bias. NZUSD and Aussie dollar, they kind of look the same, like literally the same. So which one you pick, that is up to you. Let's see how they both played out. All right, let's check out gold. Now on gold, we're having that very nice monthly bullish imbalance that potentially the market can gravitate towards. I will be very interested to both take a long from that monthly imbalance, but potentially if you are a scalper or day trader, you can also look to trade into that monthly zone. Now, the very little problem we have is that we're having that weekly bullish imbalance that is pretty much tapping this week. And we really have to wait and evaluate, is it going to hold or is it not going to hold? Now, of course, you can see we're tapping into that weekly here on Wednesday. Thursday gives a very nice reaction, but it also forms a daily bearish imbalance that is right now giving us a very big kind of a, it's not really a sandwich because we have that monthly imbalance below. We're having also that weekly imbalance that can potentially push price higher. But at the same time, we're starting to see some bearish order flow on the daily time frame. And you can see here, I do believe we touched it. Yeah, based on Forex.com. I would definitely recommend you trade gold futures because every single broker on gold here, like Forex.com, Oanda, FXCM, Pepperstone, they're all different. Now, for example, this one, it actually tapped into the daily, but maybe if I go to another one, maybe it did not tap. So currently to me, like there are two key things you have to be looking for. And you look for those two things on the 40 time frame. If the market right now, so because you can see here, we're also having that bullish zone that printed. If we push up and we have a body closure above this high, and we potentially even print a 4-hourly bullish imbalance, I will be more on the bullish side. Okay, so that is scenario number one, potentially with a 4-hourly bullish imbalance here. Okay, what does that tell us is that this daily zone is potentially not going to push the market lower towards this low, which is pretty much the target that we have if we're considering that daily zone. However, then the second scenario, of course, will be if you can already see it happening here. We're having that 4-hourly bearish imbalance that is printing it right here, and the market is kind of holding from it, but we got into the very last hours of the day, so we didn't really have any volatility. So if the market actually right now continues lower and maybe even prints another 4-hourly bearish imbalance, or even on the 1-hourly time frame, if it shows you bearish order flow, okay, then that could also be a very nice short, targeting that daily low, and then potentially even you can start forecasting that this monthly zone could potentially get tapped. Okay, so on gold, I am more bearish, and it also links to that bullish DXY bias that I have, because for example, if the dollar is going up, gold should be going down. That is how correlation works. But in the recent times, because of course gold, a lot of people put their money into gold, and even though the DXY was super bullish for 6 weeks, gold was also doing the same, which is usually not something that happens. That's quite strange. But those are my two outcomes on gold. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I know you love trading gold, and a lot of you have very big mouths. Gold is gonna crash. Gold is gonna go to the moon. Gold is going to 27,720 and then dropping to 25.90. Like, don't use language like this. You never know what is gonna happen. Just have your analysis. Just have your scenarios, wait for the market to open, wait to see what it wants to do, wait to see what kind of setup it's going to get, take what you see, and that is trading. Trading is not forecasting and saying, hey, this is the top. Trading is literally waiting right now to start seeing that the market is starting to give us some bearishness. It's currently fighting between all of these levels, and it's all about actually allowing for the market to show you what it wants to do, and you're just jumping on the train when it's stupid simple, okay? So currently, again, we're having that bearish sentiment that I personally am more bearish than bullish right now. But again, I have these two scenarios because the bulls can get back at any time, because don't forget, we are still inside that weekly imbalance. Okay, so let's see which two of these scenarios is going to play out. Definitely interested. Let me know what you also think in the comments. Next on the list are the JPYs. So monthly time frame on UJ, it's taking out the previous monthly high. On the weekly time frame, we also had that weekly bullish imbalance, but UJ was so choppy. So there's that weekly that is getting tapped in, and we kind of already did its job. It tapped in, it popped up on the elections, it took out again that previous monthly high, it took the liquidity, and it also formed a super tiny daily zone. Damn, daily zone. Currently also tapping into it, but then it dropped to the 40 time frame and it's starting to not look so good. Yeah, this price action was absolute massacre here. Then of course the elections came in, we really nicely popped higher, but then we had that very nice retracement going lower, and I usually don't like price action like that. Very massive pump followed by kind of the same, this looks like a V shape to me. Okay, that looks like a liquidity grab rather than commitment, because usually commitments have a nice push, corrective pullback that doesn't really go all the way down. Like if you're starting to get pullbacks that are more than, for example, the basic 60%, like if I just do a normal FIP, like 705, 786, if you start getting that deep of a pullback, then that means that, of course, the sellers right now are starting to get control, and yeah, potentially they can reverse the market. Currently, we don't have much, okay? Like, especially when where we ended the week, we don't have much. We have, for example, this order block here to the left that the market is reacting from. We're having that daily bullish imbalance also together with that weekly bullish one that is giving us that overall hard time frame order flow. Now on UJ, if I'm to trade it, I'm just gonna wait and see. Is it gonna start printing bullishness? I'm gonna go long. Is it gonna start printing bearishness? I'm gonna go short, targeting that low. You know, that's how I trade. I keep it extremely simple, and I have learned through my 6 years of trading that one should not be making forecasts. Show up every single day in the market, perform your systematic mechanical analysis, know what you're looking for. If it's there, you take it. If it's not there, you step aside. And that has made me extremely profitable and also super relaxed. Because right now, if I just jump into this market on a Tuesday looking to trade and I see this, I have nothing to do. I'm just not going to force it. Go to the next pair, see what you have, and just leave this aside until it actually starts showing you what it wants to do. Because currently, if I say this is going to go long from that daily zone, I'm literally making a forecast and marrying a single bias. This one can absolutely also go short, but currently, do I actually have a long setup? No, I don't. So I cannot really do anything. So the long setup that I want to see is a 4-hourly bullish range here with an imbalance to potentially start showing me that it actually wants to go to the highs. And if that does not happen, I'm not interested in longs. And if it also shows me bearishness, I'm also going to go short. So I don't have a bias. That is just the JPY. Let's see which side is actually going to take over. Well, I really didn't like the JPYs for the last quite a couple of weeks now. Then they're still tricky. We're still having, for example, right now this weekly bullish imbalance. We're also having that order block to the left on the weekly. Dropping then to the daily time frame, we are coming in with very big steam right here on Friday. So I'm not really sure what happened on Friday. I wasn't really trading this week much. But we're having that very massive Friday candle tapping us into that weekly and imbalance and the weekly OB as well. So we got to mark out. And on the 40 time frame, I would expect a lot of bearishness. You can see like 40 bearish imbalance here, and we're also having that one right here. Now, is this a market that I would like to short? No. Why? Because it's tapping into a weekly bullish and imbalance and a weekly bullish order block. Is this a market that I want to go long? Absolutely not, because I'm literally going to be trying to catch the bottom, and when there is absolutely no bullish signs that the market is pretty much going higher. So what do I do in this market? I don't know. Like, this could be manipulation into the imbalance to potentially go higher. It could also be a reversal. Like, after all of this, you literally have to once again wait for the market to establish a trend. Let it, for example, establish a bearish trend, and then you're going to know, okay, we're going down. Because what we literally have right now is that bearish move. That does not tell you anything, because that bearish move is tapping you into a bullish zone on a higher time frame. Okay? So let's see how it forms. I mean, here on the daily time frame, we can also have a daily bearish imbalance formed after Monday. That then you also have to consider. You have to wait for it to fail, or you have to wait for it to hold and maybe take a short and maybe take a long if it breaks. There's so many things that could happen right now on EURUJPY specifically. So of course, I'm not going to trade it. I'm going to give it time. I'm going to wait for Monday to pass, wait for that daily bearish imbalance to form, and then of course you have to really wait and see, is it gonna hold, is it not gonna hold, is it gonna break, is it gonna respect and then of course flow with whatever the market tells you. This one is not something that I'm going to be looking for next week immediately. So of course, give it 2 days, and then of course we're going to check back in. GBP USD being extremely choppy, that also makes GJ choppier. You can see, for example, Euro Yen, it's having a very nice bearish push. That is because also Euro USD was more bearish. It also has a weekly bullish imbalance here. This one doesn't have anything. It's just a very big chop. Dropping onto the daily time frame, super choppy as well. Like it had that daily bullish, but that does not mean absolutely anything. Just an imbalance out of nowhere means nothing. Very short day here on Friday, and then we drop to the volatility time frame. No, like, I mean, GU and GJ right now, whatever is happening with the pound, I just want for it to pass, wait for it to get a little bit clean. Are we waiting for news? What are we waiting for? I don't know. But the pound pairs like GU and GJ, just nonsense. I just don't know what's happening here, and I don't want to be making any forecasts because literally it's choppy, it's directionless. So guess what? Do not waste time with the pounds. Of course, based on your trading plan, you could be crushing it also on GJ or GU. But to me, as I'm looking for a clear price, for clear trends, for clear order flow, those two pairs are just pretty bad. So I'm not going to waste time analyzing them. All right, here we go with the futures. Starting with ES, we're having new all-time highs and the 6K level being reached. That is quite amazing. So currently, once again, it's going to get a little bit tricky because we're having that very massive weekly expansion candle making new all-time highs. Potentially, let's see if we're going to print a new weekly bullish imbalance this week, or are we going to invalidate it? That could potentially tell us a lot about what is going to happen. And currently, of course, we have to be looking mainly at the daily time frame because the daily time frame printed quite a few imbalances that to me suggest commitment and not really manipulation. Because if it was manipulation, usually we would have had like a pop-up and then immediate closure back. But you can see, for example, that was all-time high. We clearly closed above it, we pushed away from it, and we kept pushing away from it, making daily bullish imbalances, okay? So currently, I mean, I can't say much about it because again, it's after elections, a lot of things could be happening right now, but I'm definitely bullish, and any sort of pullback into these daily zones and even into this line here that was all-time high can act as a very nice break and retest, okay, will potentially be longing opportunities for me, okay? On the short side ended, okay, we just consolidating, elections came out, whoop, very, very, very massive pop. And yeah, currently we even have like a very little volatility zone here. But I would really love if we get a little bit of a pullback into a daily zone. And then if we get into a daily zone, then of course we can start targeting new all-time highs. So I'm very bullish on the indices right now. Of course, like all-time highs, we are cutting the rates on the dollar as well. So it's kind of starting to get a little bit 50-50, but so far I'm definitely bullish on the stock market. I spent a lot of time also researching stocks this week. I actually bought some, although a lot of the stocks are right now hitting all-time highs, especially like the major 7 one, right? There are some more under the radar that are still at fair value that could potentially make a very nice explosion. So let's see. But yeah, long zones, forward imbalance, daily imbalance, preferably give us a very nice pullback to the downside. So then, of course, we have clear levels to go long from. But overall longs with futures, I am applying a very scalping-like approach. So just 9:30 US stock market open, just wait for the market to print in some more context to really show me what it wants to do. And then I literally flow with it using all the concepts that I also use on my Forex trading. But usually on Forex, I go more hard time frame analysis, right? First, here it's more about lower time frame analysis, mainly 1 hour and 15-minute zones, and then just scalping it around. Let's see how it goes. All right. It seems like NASDAQ was waiting for the elections to pop the all-time highs. Because, yeah, with ES, we kept making all-time highs, but NASDAQ was always like a little bit weaker. But there we go. Taking out the all-time highs this very week, printing a very nice bullish candle. Now, right now, we can still see that the S&P is still stronger than NASDAQ because ES is like already way above all-time highs. It's kind of looking a lot more stronger. This one is just taking out the all-time highs, not really kind of closing above it. But let's see how it's going to pretty much perform. Let's, for example, also take this line here as a very nice break and retest line. We're having these two daily bullish imbalances here, suggesting that once again, we are pretty bullish. So on Nasdaq, very similar setup, even on the hard time frames, will be again pullback into this daily zone. If this daily zone fails, you can of course look for the lower one, but you're gonna know that by also looking at the volatility time frame, which currently we don't have much to work with. We had a tap into that volatility zone here on Friday, and it was a very nice long. And I was actually looking at it, but I really didn't want to take my first trade on Friday like this. But a very nice long here, once again tapping new all-time highs here. So to me, a very good setup on Nasdaq will be for us to pull back into that daily zone, and then from there start targeting new all-time highs. Now I am very careful, I would say, because again, elections just came out. This is like the very reaction out of the election. Things could start changing as well. So keep your mind open as we start getting some more developments, as for example, Trump is going to start announcing the things that he's gonna do, and as he also starts taking action, then that could of course start bringing in some more volatility, which is always good for us. And currently the main key skill that you have to learn is reacting, right? Just reacting to whatever happens and going with the flow of the market. Like, don't marry massively bullish indices, don't marry a crash, right? Just wait, see what's gonna happen, and then we flow with it. So that is Nasdaq, bullish, really having a very big interest into that daily imbalance. If we tap in to potentially go long, let's see how it goes. Well, the Dow also taps new all-time highs, very massive candles here, also a very strong bullish weekly candle here as well. And on the daily time frame, we're having also that daily bullish imbalance that is perfectly also resonating with the all-time highs to the left. That can act as a very nice break and retest level. So a very simple analysis once again will be a pullback into such a level to make a higher low, okay? Because it's always good to be trading from pullbacks, higher lows, than trying to chase new all-time highs. So for example, if you are trading, for example, on that day all-time high, and then you were trying to keep longing here on that day, you're always running the risk of a pullback, okay? So wait for the pullback to be done, and then potentially we can look to go long. And on the volatility time frame, also similar to ES, we're having like two volatility zones that could potentially push the price higher. But if those two volatility zones fail, then that is going to mean that the market might want to come to the daily or even a little bit deeper. And then from there, we're once again going to be looking for potential alignments to go higher. So those are my two scenarios. I mean, I would definitely love the daily, but if the volatility zones also hold, there could be some quick longs as well. But I do believe eventually we have to potentially pull back into a daily zone to make a higher low and then maybe start rocketing higher. So let's see. That is my YM outlook. Also looking for longs, volatility and daily zone. Let's see which one is going to get respected and which one is going to give us a long setup. If you are a DAX trader, I would say step aside for a little bit. Like, the monthly time frame is still an inside bar. The weekly time frame is also closing as an inside bar, so it didn't give us a lot of volatility. And you can see here the last overall 6 weeks are a consolidation. Like, if I just take a box like that, okay, and drag it like this, and then if I just, for example, go into the volatility time frame, well, yeah, you can see we're literally consolidating here at the top. Like, if you just zoom out a little bit, like, DAX tends to enter consolidations like this before it actually starts trending. This is why, for example, with DAX, I'm not a huge fan of it, because I had once a very big interest in DAX. I backtested it, but then as I started live trading, this is why I always say live trade. Don't backtest, jump into the market, because I jumped into the market and I happened to stumble on like 2 months of an incredibly choppy price action. It probably was, for example, something like this. No, that's January. I traded a little bit later, but there was a time maybe like this where I was, for example, trading DAX and it was super unclear, right? But then there come times when it was also super clear. So get to know your pair, backtest it if you want, but of course spend more time live trading, because as I kept live trading right now DAX in the last weeks, it was very good. But right now I know that it's getting into one of these consolidation areas. You can even see the last couple of days here are super choppy. And then right now, if I start dropping onto the volatility time frame, all I'm going to be doing is forcing it, because weekly is unclear, daily is super unclear as well. Okay, like a bullish, bearish, it's all still stuck even inside this candle. So we're having two inside bars here, and even here, Friday's candle is also inside, I think, almost, right? I don't know. Thursday's candle. So that is a very big consolidation. So let's wait for this one to break out. Let's wait for this one to give us some clear trend, and then we're going to engage it, because get to know DAX, it tends to have some very good periods, but just like everything else, it tends to also have a lot of consolidation periods. It is not reacting similar to the US indices, which is surprising to me. But of course, right now we're going to start getting, for example, yeah, this is a European, this is a German index. So we really have to watch out how, for example, the election of Trump is going to reflect the Europe as well, and potentially DAX could be the indication of that. Okay, so not interested in DAX going into the incoming week. I'm definitely going to be focusing more on the US indices. Let's see how it goes. Wait for a clear price action on this instrument. Well, with this fresh price action after the elections, we do have potentially a bullish dollar. And this is the only clear pair that I have right now, that is EURUSD, because the DXY is giving us, for example, these foully bullish imbalances targeting that high. If they don't hold, then we're going to look for the daily. And EURUSD is exactly the same. It's super bearish. It flushed a lot going down. And also we're having right now this forward zone to potentially target a lot of these downside targets. Now then, when it comes to GU, absolute skip. When it comes to AU and NU, they are bearish, but they're not the best bearishness that I would potentially want to see. So if you start seeing some commitment going lower, then I could engage it. Gold is also super interesting, but it's stuck between too many zones. It has a weekly bullish, it has a daily bearish, it has a hourly bearish, and below it has a monthly bullish that can also attract price. So it's having too much stuff happening right here. So I'm just going to be waiting for those two scenarios as I outlined in my gold analysis. The JPYs, I would say wait. GJ, don't trade, it's too unclear. EJ, it's a lot bearish simply because EURUSD also dropped. UJ is a little bit 50-50. It gave a pop-up, pulls back right now. I'm looking for some more commitment before I pretty much judge the next move. And then the US indices, super bullish, looking for some sort of a pullback, preferably into daily zones. We're having daily zones on all the US indices, so hopefully we get a little bit of a pullback and then start targeting new all-time highs. But freshly after the elections as well, we can continue seeing some more bullishness before potentially something happens that could drive the market for a pullback. Okay, ES and QYM all the same, all have a daily imbalance. Let's see if it's gonna pull back into it. And then we have DAX as well. That is a little bit of a consolidation right now. We see also the euro flushing very nicely. DAX is also kind of a little bit more bearish, while, for example, the dollar and the US indices are going higher. So DAX currently also fundamentally not the best index to be trading, focusing mainly on the US indices. So guys, let me know how you perform this week. Let me know if you trade during the elections. Let me know what you think is going to be happening going forward. Hopefully you had a good week. Hopefully you are staying patient or also making some money. Let me know what is your favorite pair looking ahead for this week, and I'm going to catch up with you on the next outlook.